Good evening. Tonight, two stories sit at the heart of our interests, one here in Cairo and another in the global theater of football politics. Egyptians return to the ballot boxes in dozens of constituencies as judicially mandated reruns reshape phase one of the House elections, a moment that highlights oversight, stability, and the NEA's expanding role. And in England, Mohammed Salah's explosive interview has ignited a firestorm. Critics rush to frame him as the villain, but the English media's reaction has exposed deeper biases and troubling manipulation. Behind the headlines is a strategic machine shaping narratives selectively, using data and targeting Salah in a way that feels less like football analysis and more like agenda-driven whitewashing. I'm Mana Musalhi, and this is In Focus. While Egypt today reports that voting continues for a second day across 30 annulled phase one constituencies after the High Administrative Court ordered repeat polling. Stations opened smoothly at 9 a.m., the NEA confirmed, with only minor delays in a few subcommittees. MENA correspondents observed heavy security deployment and around the polling centres, metro stations and transport hubs to ensure order and accessibility. These reruns, covering nearly 70% of phase one individual seats, reflect the judicial system's oversight role as results move towards announcement on December 18th. We're joined by Mr. Mohammed Izzeddin, managing editor of Al Ahram newspaper, to discuss this very particular issue of the elections. Mr. Mohammed, what does the large-scale rerun tell us about the strength and structure of judicial oversight in Egypt's electoral process?
Thank you so much for hosting me today in Qnews. Of course, those elections in general are completely different than their predecessors, not only for the big number of those nominated and the expansion of the electoral structure, but also the veto from President Sisi that recommended the importance of review of any remarks on the election process, and we saw the prompt response from the National Authority of Elections in 19 constituencies, and we saw the appeals when they reached out to the administrative court, and then 30 constituencies were bound for a rerun today and yesterday, and this implies that those elections are completely different than others that were held in the past. There is an improvement. There is political awareness at the disposal of parties taking part in those elections, and also the voters for the negative phenomena that we viewed in the first day yesterday. They are now no longer in the scene, and 2 hours before the constituencies were closed, we are witnessing people intensifying and coming in the countryside. There is a strong presence to those nominated and for voters, and we see the women presence specifically after 3 p.m. Of course, it is different this time, and I think this is going to reflect positively on the process of casting the ballot, taking into consideration that the results are not yet disclosed. They are going to be on December the 18th, and of course, some constituencies are going to be bound for rerun because we have 70 people and 35 chairs.
Right. If I may ask you here, with the results, as you said, respectively, here due December 18th, but tomorrow, those who passed and the parliament is supposed to be making their oath tomorrow and starting a new or their new session. From your point of view, what would be what will happen with those who started new? I mean here those who were supposed to be rerun for for phase one, or those who were annulled for of the constituencies. What will be what will they do with the new parliament? And the other issue is what will be done when the appeals made before the cassation court, the administrative court, and while also some of them might go to the Supreme Constitutional Council do. What will happen at then?
This is a very important question. I wasn't asked about it before, but it is an excellent question, and I thank Qnews for raising it. For making the oath, this is the jurisdiction of the House of Representatives and also from the executive authority. And as a result, there is no room for speculations here when it comes to the timing of the session of the works of the parliament. The other important thing that you mentioned is related to the jurisdictions. Of course, all rulings are applied on every single person, and I do not mean that it is supposed to be or that it is obligatory, but they must be applied and they annul any previous jurisdictions or rulings, even if any of the members made it to the oath. But of course, he's going to be removed if there is a ruling that those elections are going to be for rerun, and some people are going to be changed, but they are a few compared to the overall number of those winners, whether from the list or from individuals. The other thing is that the electoral process in general was distorted by some positive change. So there is political awareness and there is competitiveness that we can easily view. There are people standing in rows in the countryside and people coming from tribes as well, and the negative phenomena are no longer there compared to phase one and compared to yesterday. This strength and impartiality, whether from the administrative authority or the executive authority like the Ministry of Interior and municipalities, they played a pivotal role today, specifically in day two of this round. The thing here has to do with variables and with administrative matters and jurisdictions, in addition to executive orders, and the rulings are the most important thing.
My question, Mr. Izzeddin, what I'm speaking about here is what happens when the rulings or the jurisdictions of the Supreme Council, or now the cassation court rules with annulling some of the constituencies, or that or what will happen then, and how will that reflect, and how definitely the Supreme Council's Constitutional Court rulings would reflect on a House of Representatives already who have made their oath. We're speaking about tomorrow. They will be making their oath tomorrow.
Yes, what I meant here is that the final ruling, if it is finally made and issued, the constituency is not going to be annulled, but it is going to be bound for rerun if the Court of Cassation or any other court deemed it to be plausible. This is guaranteed by law, and if any of the winners has a ruling that is against him, this must be implemented, and it depends on the type of ruling. Some rulings are not having the capability of being appealed to. This needs to be taken into consideration. I do not think there is going to be any impact as this happens for individual chairs, and as a result, there is no previous political roadmap made by individual lists
Right.
other than those who belonged to some parties. Even for those, there is no political ties to agree on certain plans in the first phase of
Right.
the works of the parliament.
Right. Remains to be seen here what will happen later on. Today is the second day for the first phase or of the constituencies who were annulled by the court or the authorities, the NEA, and hopefully things would go for the best of Egypt's nation. We thank you so much, Ms. Izzeddine, for your insights, and these reruns continue to show how judicial review and administrative supervision shape this electoral cycle. And speaking of public scrutiny, another institution under the microscope this week is the English football press, after Mohamed Salah's interviews ignited a furious media backlash. Now, Mohamed Salah's interview after Liverpool's 3-3 draw at Leeds has shaken English football. The reaction from pundits, swift, loud, and overwhelmingly hostile, reveals something far bigger than a locker room dispute. This isn't just a player expressing frustration, and it isn't just the media responding. This is narrative engineering. Some English outlets, most notably Sky Sports, circulated a graphic claiming Liverpool win more when Salah doesn't start. A bold claim, but built on misleading data. Look at the matches used to support it. Salah started against Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain, Bayern Munich, Manchester City. He did not start against Accrington, Stanley, Derby County, Shrewsbury Town, and Youth Team Cup fixtures. Comparing elite Champions League nights to domestic rotation games is not analytics. It's statistical distortion. For 9 seasons, Salah has delivered one of the most consistent outputs in Premier League history: 270 plus goals, 100 plus assists, and title-defining contributions. Yet, he is now being framed as a burden, even a problem. This is not football analysis, this is media bias, scapegoating, and in some cases thinly veiled hostility towards one of the Premier League's greatest ever performers and a global Arab icon. Salah may have erred by speaking with such raw emotion, but the media reaction, sensationalism, misrepresentation, and coordinated narrative setting tells a deeper story about influence, power, and who gets protected in English football, with Saudi links resurfacing and Afghan approaching these stories is far from over. Joining us is Mr. Amr Rawi, CEO of Game Changers, to discuss the media storm surrounding Mohamed Salah and the wider dynamics shaping football narratives today. Mr. Amr, from a communications and branding perspective, how damaging or unstandable was Salah's decision to speak so openly in such a heated moment?
Hi, and it's a pleasure to be with you. First of all, definitely we have seen how Mohamed Salah have been the headlines for all the British and international media after his explosive interview. But we need to analyze the situation with taking a little bit of emotions outside of it. We all support Mohamed Salah. He's a key figure in the Arab world. He's a role model. There are only few players. There are only few players in the world that have achieved what he achieved. He is the fourth top goal scorer in the history of the Premier League, and you have stated some of his amazing numbers in the past 9 years. However, going outside and using the channel that Mohamed Salah have used, this is mostly give the excuse and the reason for many of the people who may have any hidden agendas to attack Mohamed Salah. A lot of people have sympathized the situation Mohamed Salah has been going through. Many of the top players in England have said the management and the coach should treat big stars like Mohamed Salah, Ronaldo, Messi with a special treatment. It's not acceptable for a superstar like Mohamed Salah to be benched for 2 full games. But a lot of people as well have taken the opportunity to highlight that the channel and the way Mohamed Salah have expressed his frustration was not acceptable.
Mm-hmm. What do you think he should have done if he's frustrated and he's for no reason put aside? What do you think he should have done?
It's a good question. And to be honest, we don't know what is happening behind the closed doors. I would have expected, or I think what Mohamed Salah should have done, should have had a clear direct conversation with the coach. Mohamed Salah has indicated in his interview, after he had a good relation with the coach, there was no relationship or whatsoever what he expressed in his interview. I think he should have asked directly to have a conversation with the coach and express his frustration through the usual channels and the club channels before going out in the media.
But given his history and career and all what he's done throughout all those the past years, when you look at the English media reaction, do you really see genuine football criticism or a deeper pattern of selective framing and data manipulation targeting Salah?
It's a very fine line, and it's very hard to judge. I'll be very honest with you. And as an Egyptian living in the UK for 23 years, what we all try to do is we don't want to give an excuse for anyone to take an advantage of a situation like that situation. So it's very hard to decide that fine line. But going back to what you've just said, it's part of a superstar character and ego, and the driven ambition is to react the way Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah, he's so passionate, he's so eager. He wants to break numbers. He wants to continue to deliver. It is so hard, and it's easy for me to say he should have taken the usual channels or the formal channels, and it's very difficult for him emotionally after what he has given to the club, what he has delivered in the history of the Premier League and globally, to be treated the way that he's been treated. So I'm not saying that Mohamed Salah is totally mistaken. It's so wrong by the club and the coach to treat Mohamed Salah the way that he's been treated. However, the way and the channel Mohamed Salah have taken and expressed his frustration is what gave the people the opportunity to criticize him. And we don't know what people keeps inside. We don't know what the intentions, but all what we can judge of what we're hearing and how the people are evaluating the situation. For sure, one of the things that personally I said that is unfair when Carragher said Mohamed Salah has not achieved anything before playing at Liverpool. No, sorry, Carragher. Mohamed Salah had been a successful player in Roma. He's been an amazing player in Fiorentina before joining Liverpool. And Liverpool would not have achieved what they have achieved without Mohamed Salah. He is the number one superstar in this team. So it was a little bit unfair how some of the pundits have taken the situation and taken that opportunity to criticize Mohamed Salah and to try to undermine what he has achieved in the past 9 years. But again, as I said, it's very hard to judge. We are not able to get into the intention of what people have inside. And unfortunately, what happened during that situation and what Mohamed Salah have done have given them this opportunity to take that advantage. But for sure, we all feel and understand the frustration Mohamed Salah is going through and why he have done what he have done.
So can we really say that his frustration could be a pretext to his outlash? And at that moment, how should fans interpret the discrepancy between Salah's long-term contributions and this sudden shift in media tone portraying him as dispensable?
100%. I mean, absolutely, that's the right approach. I mean, let's not forget, Ronaldo have done something similar even when he was benched for one game and when Eric Ten Hag have asked him to warm up for the team in the last 90 minutes. So we know in the history that superstars need to have a special treatment. I think Mohamed Salah should go back and speak and have a conversation with the management, with Arne Slot, try to settle down the situation because it's not only about leaving Liverpool. Mohamed Salah has an amazing legacy in the Premier League. His legacy at Liverpool, he needs to protect that. It's not only about protecting what is the coming few years in his career, but it's about gaining back the fandom and the popularity he have generated in the past 9 years. So I think Mohamed Salah need to, and I'm sure he's probably considering this, he need to go back, follow and take the formal channels to sort out the situation with the coach. We don't know what the future of the coach, because if Liverpool had a bad few games, he might be out either by January or the end of the season. But what we are sure about, Mohamed Salah's legacy, that should not be damaged, should not be touched by a very small, I would call it just emotional interview that is being done after a game, after being benched for 2 games.
Wait, then from your point of view, what role do broadcasters and digital platforms play in shaping the narrative around star players, especially non-European ones?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the media want to find a reason and want to see different angles for any situation. And again, when Ronaldo have done the same type of things, a lot of people have came out and criticized Ronaldo. So it's not the first time that a player is being criticized when they do the same type of interviews without or attacking the management and the coach. So as I said, I mean, we need to make sure that Mohamed Salah and in his action following what happened does not give the excuse or the opportunity to take advantage, to criticize or even undermine any of his achievements in the past 9 years in the Premier League history.
Now, with Saudi Pro League interests growing again, do you believe this media storm is organically shaping or I mean here, this is organic driven, or could it be indirectly shaping market pressure ahead of January?
I mean, I'm actually right now I'm based in London, but I'm actually right now in Riyadh. And yesterday I was in a conference where the Saudi Pro League was asked about Mo Salah, the CEO of the Saudi Pro League, was asked about Mo Salah, and he said, we welcome all superstars for sure. So Mohamed Salah, we know for the past 2-3 years, he's been on demand by the Saudi Pro League. Again, that situation is being, I want to say that this situation is being created by Aaron Slot and by Mohamed Salah by going out and using the interview and the channel that he has used. That what created that situation. Whether Liverpool will going to be considering offers for Mohamed Salah in January, probably, but we're going to depend as well what they're thinking and the direction on the management and the coach. So if they see that there is still not good results with Aaron Slot, they probably might wait till the summer to make a decision.
Now, from your vantage point in global sports marketing, how does this controversy impact Salah's value or global value and Liverpool's handling of its biggest modern superstar?
Again, another good question, and thank you for asking that question. Brands or superstars superstars are generally humans, so they do mistakes. People not necessarily were going to judge them on the mistakes, but they were going to judge them in how they deal with those mistakes. If we assume that this is a mistake, and I know that there are different opinions about, some people probably could disagree with me that no, Mohamed Salah should have done what he have done and so on and so forth. But I think the next step from Mo Salah will be a decisive factor in terms of the growth of his popularity, the growth of his aura and what he has achieved, or could be damaging a little bit and not putting him in the same position as he was as one of the key legends of Liverpool.
So from your perspective, does this confrontation with Liverpool accelerate the end of Salah's Premier League chapter? Or can he realistically rebuild trust and remain central in the English football?
100% he can remain central. Mohamed Salah's legacy will not going to be wiped off by a very small or emotional or reactional interview. Mohamed Salah is a very popular figure amongst all the Liverpool fans. It will going to very much depend on his action and the next step that he will going to take from today. And Liverpool needs superstar. They will not going to be able to afford to lose a superstar like Mohamed Salah, whose contribution in the last season was a major factor of winning the league. So superstars like Mohamed Salah, Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe, and all those type of superstars, they don't come often. So for sure, there is an opportunity for Mohamed Salah to regain his position, to regain where he was in the hearts and minds of all global fans around the world, for those who maybe have had or disagreed with his reaction. But we know for sure that there is a lot of people as well is backing up Salah, a lot of people sympathizing his situation, a lot of people are supporting what he has done, and a lot of people disagree with how he is being treated. So I totally believe that the next step will be very, very important, and Mohamed Salah has to calculate that step very carefully.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Amr Rawi, for your analysis and definitely valuable insights here. And Salah's situation is no longer about form alone. It is about the narratives that define players, the power of media framing, and who gets protected in the public arena. And I guess that brings us to the end of tonight's episode. From Egypt's ballot reruns to global storm around Mohamed Salah, one theme stands out: power is always contested, whether in parliament or in the pitch. Many thanks for watching. This was In Focus, and see you next time.